Okay, in today's demonstration, I am going to do a number of things. I'm going to mix a limited color palette of light phthalo blue, yellow ochre, and Prussian blue. I'm going to intermix. I'm going to make 3 different gradations, okay? And then I'm going to reserve some of those mixtures to then work on small studies. So I'm first going to start with light phthalo blue and Prussian blue. Now, when you're mixing paint, usually, like so here, obviously this is the lighter color. I want to put more of this down because the dark color, it's much more intense. I need less of it to tint or color the lighter color. So for example, oftentimes kids want to make pink. What do? They put out a ton of red and they start adding a little bit of yellow, and it takes forever to get the pink that they want. And they wind up with way too much paint. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this end to this end and create my gradation. You probably want to have paper towels or rags to wipe off some of the paint as you go. All right, and then down at this end is my Prussian blue, okay? So I'm slowly, actually I added quite a bit there, but it's a big glob of the phthalo blue. Okay, so what I do is I like the angled palette knife better than like these flat ones for mixing because so much paint seems to get globbed on the bottom. This one I'm able to kind of slide and pull it off more. So I'm kind of scooping and then pushing down and mixing. Feels kind of like candy making or something. I don't know. Okay, so, and you know, take your time with this. I think people felt rushed on Tuesday. They were so excited to get to the small studies, but take your time. This is kind of meditative and relaxing. Okay, so then I put a swatch right there. Now, this is the part I forgot on Tuesday. I'm going to take some of that and put it off. I'm going to reserve it off to the side for when I do my paint studies on the index card. Okay, now I'm going to take a little more Prussian blue. And I was recommending maybe doing 5 gradations. I would say 3 to 5. Okay, so now the color is coming up ever so slightly. I'm going to jump it and add more. So it's a little, oh, forgot to reserve. See, got to remember. Get so into mixing, I forgot. Okay, pull some of that over there. Okay, I'm going to try and bring it up even quicker. Oop, forgot to reserve again. Right, over there. Okay. Okay, so there is my first gradation. saying my internet connection is unstable. I hope you can still hear me. All right, now I'm going to go on to mixture number 2. I'm going to do the Phthalo Blue and the Yellow Ochre. Okay. Again, putting Phthalo Blue on one end and Yellow Ochre on the other. Now I'm doing all 3 mixtures on this palette just because I'm recording and I don't have a lot of space. You might want to just have a separate sheet of palette paper or a paper plate for each gradation, so you have more room, you have more real estate to work with. Because I feel a little bit crowded here, but I need to get it all on camera. Okay, so already it's becoming kind of a beautiful, unusual warm green, blue-green. Like a robin's egg blue, right? Okay, now Yellow Ochre. So this is also attuning you not to have just, how colors mix, but also the consistency of your paint. And that'll vary depending on brand. I find Golden it's very creamy and buttery. And Liquitex seems a little bit, what's the word? It's like thicker, sort of chunkier. It's not as creamy. Not bad, but okay. Okay, so there is my second gradation. Okay, it's a warmer blue. Okay, now I'm going to go on to my last mixture, which will be the, what is it? Oh, the Prussian Blue and the Yellow Ochre. Okay, so I'm going to go from here over to here. Remembering to reserve a blob of it. I'm going to bring this one up faster. And for time's sake, I'm just going to go use all the blue right there. Okay. So there is what I've got. And then I like to write the names of the paint at either end. And I've got a paint, really nice paint reference chart. Okay. All right. Now, the part you've been waiting for, which is the index cards. And you can do as many of these as you want. I think 6, would be probably the bare minimum. Because of, space here, I don't have a lot of space. I think I'm going to do 4. And I've got a variety of squeegees. So here's a really nice silicone squeegee. The brand is Catalyst. I've got this Bondo scraper from the hardware store. And then I just found this in the studio. I don't know. I think it's a baking tool, like a pizza cutter. So I'm going to try that. Okay. And just scrape the paint on. Like you saw in the video. So if I go over, you can see I'm getting some of the, a little bit of transparency, some of the paint from below showing through, okay? Try it with the yellow ochre because I know, and if I push, it is transparent. If I push down really hard with my angled palette knife, and I would say a 45-degree angle, if I push down and pull, I get this really nice transparency going. Okay, now I'll do the opposite. And if I put my palette knife down lower and I don't push as hard, I just kind of drag, I'm going to pull off some thicker, what you call impasto paint. Okay, so you can play with that, the amount of pressure, and then the angle, 45-degree angle. Okay, so so I'm going to put down thicker blocks of color, not really thinking about composition, just kind of playing. I can go up really close with the angled palette knife to another color. If I put thick paint on, I can also scrape through. I like to call that excavation. I'm revealing what's underneath. Okay. Let me do it up here. So again, low down, 45-degree angle, not too much pressure. I get a thick glob of paint. 45-degree angle, a lot of pressure, and I scrape and see through and get transparency. I can also use the tip of my palette knife, or it could be a pencil, a stick. And if I scratch through, it's called sgraffito, I'm going to see some of the underpainting. Okay, this Catalyst squeegee, I pulled pretty firmly. It's transparent, right? Same thing here. If I go lighter, it's going to be more impasto, more opaque. And how you apply it will be up to you. I tend to go kind of blocky, chunky. I saw somebody the other day, she did something kind of wiggly with it. Let me see if I can do that. And I think what she did was, I think she kind of went like that. She wiggled her credit card or squeegee. So it doesn't all have to be blocky, chunky like I'm doing. Some people find the palette knife kind of awkward to work with. It used to not be my favorite. Now I'm growing to like it because I can get these big globs of paint, which I like. I'm going to try a different palette knife. This one's totally flat. So I can use the side of it to scrape. So one of the things when you're using your paintbrush or any of your tools, this is a three-dimensional object with multiple surfaces, right? So this one, I've got the edge, I've got the front tip, and then I've got the flat of the palette knife. So those are surfaces to be explored. This one, by using the front, I can sort of get these little textural lines, sort of Van Gogh-like. I'll hold this up to the screen in a minute. So you can see there's a texture to it. Again, I can scrape in. If I don't like it, cover it back up. So the palette knife gives your painting kind of a sculptural quality. And depending on, with just these three colors, like if yellow ochre, I was more drawn to that. I could do a painting that was more predominantly yellow ochre. I tend to go more towards the blue, but you can play with amounts of paint. And then usually at some point, people have this urge, like there needs to be another color. And there does, but this is the foundation. And then I would start adding in colors, which I call like cooking. That's like your spice, right? Okay, so I'm going to try and push this one really more in that yellow ochre range. Some people call this like ugly colors. So I'm going to do, I'll call it ugly colors, and then I'm going to put in a pop of blue and see what happens. Okay, so that's contrast, right? Got contrast going on. Actually, hang on. Here. Just remember, they're just little studies on index cards, right? Okay, so let's see. Now I'm scraping kind of hard. I get a transparency there. And I like to turn mine around as I go. Okay, and I could just keep going and going, and actually, I probably will finish these up and send out photos later today. So this one I try to go more yellow ochre, and then this one's a little bit cooler in the celadon range. This one, I'll just finish up by pushing it more into the blue zone. And sometimes the colors mix right there on the surface. That's fine. Okay, so that kind of bled in there from below. That's okay. All right, hang on, one more. So here I'm painting over, but I'm leaving a little bit of that Prussian blue line right there. And push the whole painting more into the blue zone. If I scrape a little bit more of what's underneath, it's going to show through. Okay.